Understanding Schadenfreude in Narcissists. Why they take pleasure in others' pain. From the editorial staff of UnderstandNarcissism.com. Exploring the dark side of narcissistic pleasure. How a lack of empathy fuels Schadenfreude and reinforces fragile self-worth. In the intricate web of human emotions, Schadenfreude, the experience of pleasure derived from another person's misfortune, is one of the more puzzling and often uncomfortable feelings. Comprehending how one can find joy in another's pain can be challenging. For most people, Schadenfreude can arise in specific contexts, like watching a rival fail or seeing justice served. But for individuals with narcissistic traits, Schadenfreude often goes beyond fleeting satisfaction. Instead, it becomes a pervasive and deeply ingrained pattern that reveals a lack of empathy and an intense need for self-validation. To truly understand why narcissists experience Schadenfreude so intensely, we need to look closely at their psychological makeup, focusing on two defining characteristics: their lack of empathy and their fragile self-image. These traits combine to make the misfortunes of others a source of validation and, at times, enjoyment. The empathy deficit in narcissists. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is a fundamental component of social bonding. Most people naturally experience discomfort or sadness when they witness another person's suffering. However, narcissists lack this emotional connection, allowing them to remain emotionally detached from others' pain and making it easier to enjoy another's misfortune without guilt. In the absence of empathy, narcissists struggle to perceive people as fully autonomous individuals with their own emotions and inner lives. Instead, they often view others as tools for their own gain or threats to their importance. When someone they perceive as a threat experiences failure, a narcissist might feel a sense of triumph or relief rather than empathy, fueling their tendency toward Schadenfreude. A fragile self-image and the need for validation. A profound need for external validation drives narcissists. Despite often projecting grandiosity, their self-esteem is brittle and fragile, requiring constant reinforcement from the outside world. For this reason, narcissists frequently engage in social comparison, needing to feel superior to others to maintain their sense of worth. They often view the world as a hierarchy, with themselves ideally at the top. Schadenfreude becomes a coping mechanism when a narcissist witnesses the failure or suffering of someone they perceive as a competitor or a threat. Instead of feeling threatened by that person's success or happiness, a narcissist finds comfort in their misfortune, which temporarily reinforces their sense of superiority. In a way, Schadenfreude provides narcissists with an emotional boost, soothing their insecurities and affirming their belief in their superiority. Narcissistic Schadenfreude as a tool for manipulation. For narcissists, Schadenfreude is not only a source of personal pleasure, it can also be a means of control and manipulation. By enjoying or even exacerbating the suffering of others, narcissists gain a sense of power. Suppose they can instill self-doubt or insecurity in others. In that case, they maintain dominance in relationships, often keeping others dependent on their approval or fearful of rejection. Narcissists may go to great lengths to sabotage others to feed their sense of superiority. This behavior often surfaces in workplace dynamics, friendships, and family relationships, where they covertly undermine, manipulate, or spread rumors to damage the reputations of others. The pleasure they derive from such actions is not merely self-serving, but also a tactic to secure their position in social hierarchies, ultimately ensuring they remain in control. Narcissistic Schadenfreude as a reflection of internal conflict. Interestingly, The narcissistic enjoyment of others' pain often reflects unresolved inner conflicts. Deep-seated feelings of inadequacy and insecurity often plague narcissists. Beneath their facade of superiority, they are frequently burdened by a fear of failure and rejection. By observing and delighting in the failures of others, narcissists project their fears outward, experiencing a temporary sense of relief. In a twisted sense, another's misfortune becomes a mirror, showing them they are safe for the moment. However, this relief is fleeting. Narcissists often feel compelled to seek new sources of Schadenfreude to reaffirm their self-worth, leading to a repetitive cycle of undermining others, experiencing a temporary high, and eventually facing a return to insecurity. Can a narcissist's enjoyment of others' pain be changed? Understanding why narcissists experience Schadenfreude so intensely is one thing. Addressing it is another. Because narcissists are typically unaware of or unwilling to acknowledge their lack of empathy and need for validation, they rarely feel motivated to change. However, in some instances where a narcissist seeks therapy, often due to the collapse of personal relationships or professional setbacks, this pattern may be addressed. Therapists can work with narcissistic individuals to help them recognize their lack of empathy and the destructive nature of their Schadenfreude. While some may understand how their behavior affects others, meaningful change is rare and challenging. Narcissists willing to engage in long-term self-reflection may develop the capacity for empathy, ultimately reducing their need to derive satisfaction from others' pain. However, these cases are exceptional, and the inherent nature of narcissism makes this a complex transformation. For narcissists, Schadenfreude is more than a fleeting feeling. It's a deeply ingrained behavior that reflects their lack of empathy, fragile self-image, and need for validation. Understanding this dynamic is essential, as it reveals the inner struggles that drive narcissistic behavior. While change is possible, it is often limited to those rare individuals who possess the willingness and insight to confront the dark side of their personality. Understanding Schadenfreude in narcissists is not just an academic exercise. It can provide those around them with a clearer perspective. It can help friends, family members, and colleagues recognize and set boundaries in relationships with narcissistic individuals. Recognizing this pattern can be the first step in protecting oneself from the emotional turmoil narcissists often cause, empowering individuals to navigate these complex relationships with greater understanding and resilience. The information provided in this article is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional advice. We are not licensed clinicians, mental health professionals, lawyers, or legal advisors. For any concerns regarding mental health or personal situations, please seek advice from a qualified professional. For more details, please read our full disclaimer.